Today we're going to continue on with section 5. It's day 2 of it. Today we're going to learn how to multiply and divide rational expressions. So when you're multiplying and dividing rational expressions, you're still going to need to factor each part of the fraction, and then we're going to look for, when we multiply, things to cancel. We can either cross cancel, like diagonally, or you can also cancel top to bottom. You cannot cancel left to right. When we divide, you're either going to do like when you divided fractions back in 4th grade, stay, change, flip, keep, change, flip, or stay, change, change. Whatever you learn for dividing your simple fractions back in 4th grade, we're now going to also apply these to the more complicated polynomials where you're going to need to factor. But we still are going to do the stay, change, flip for the division. So let's go ahead and take a look at some examples. So my first one, the first 2 examples are multiplication. So again, what we need to do here is factor each numerator, each denominator, and then we'll look for things to simplify. Now in this first example, the only thing that I need to factor is going to be the top, this numerator, and I can factor this into x minus 3 and x plus 3. So this will change to this. So let me just go ahead and rewrite it over here to the side. So the first fraction is staying the same. And then over here, this changes to x plus 3, x minus 3, and then x plus 4. Now I'm looking for things that will cancel. And again, I can either simplify diagonally or I can simplify top to bottom. So notice over here, I have an x plus 3 in the top here, and it'll cancel with this. Now remember, when you're canceling these things, what's really left behind is a 1. And now what I'm going to do in my final answer, it's going to be x minus 2 times x minus 3 over or divided by x plus 4. You do not need to FOIL it. You're going to just leave it just like that in the binomials. Let's try the next one. Same thing. I'm going to go ahead and only thing I can factor here is now it's over here. It's still multiplication. So I'm going to factor that. It's the difference of 2 squares. X plus 3, x minus 3 over x plus 3 times x plus 4 over x minus 3. Now remember, when you look for things to simplify, you can either do it top to bottom or diagonally. I can't do it side to side. So I have x plus 3 that I can simplify with an x plus 3 that's right underneath it. Again, these become 1s. And then I can also simplify the x minus 3 with this x minus 3 that's diagonal on the bottom. And again, what's left behind are 1s. And now I'm going to multiply what remains. So the top is just 1 times x plus 4. And the denominator is just 1 times 1. So I don't need to show the 1 in the bottom. So my final answer is just x plus 4. Okay, so for number 3, this one I'm going to need to factor all 4 pieces here, both numerators and both denominators. Both numerators are trinomials. Then in the denominator, I have a trinomial and then a binomial. So let's go ahead and take care of each one individually. So we could work on this one first. So I'm going to take the 2x squared plus x minus 6. Now you can either do factor by grouping, or you can go ahead and guess and test. I'll go ahead and do the factor by grouping. Multiply the beginning and the end. I get negative 12x squared All right, once I multiplied that, let me do it over here to the side, negative 12x squared. I'm looking for the two numbers that multiply to give me that, and who will add to give me 1. And then those two numbers are going to be negative 3 and positive 4. So again, rewrite the first term. And again, you can put in, it doesn't matter the order that you put in, that negative 3 and that positive 4. Going to make your groups. Factor the GCF of the red group. It's going to just be an x. And I'm left with 2x minus 3. GCF of purple is going to be 2. Divide. And again, you're left with exactly the same thing. So you write what's in common first. It doesn't matter the order. And then the x plus 2. So now that top part is factored. So let me go ahead and take the blue. And this is replacing the top of that fraction. So 2x minus 3 times x plus 2. Now I need to factor the denominator. This one's nice and easy. It's a simple trinomial. Factors of negative 5, that will give me positive 4. And that's going to be x plus 5 and x minus 1. Now I need to move over and factor the top of the second fraction. And again, I can first pull out a GCF. So let me go ahead, I'll do that one in red. I'm going to do it right above. Let me rewrite it. So I have x to the third minus 3x squared plus 2x. I'm first going to factor out a GCF of x, and I get x squared minus 3x plus 2. I now have a trinomial I can factor. The factors of positive 2 that give me negative 3 are going to be x times x minus 2 and x minus 1. So now that is now the top of the fraction. Let me go ahead and write that over here. And then I need to factor the denominator. Let me do that one in pink. So now this one I'll do in pink. I'll do right over here. So I have 4x squared minus 6x. I can factor out a greatest common factor of 2x, and I'm left with 2x minus 3. So that's what's going to go now in the bottom. 2x times 2x minus 3. It's going to be very important that you're neat here and you write everything so you don't forget anything. So now I'm going to look for things to cancel. So I have an 2x minus 3, which will cancel with this one. And then I also have an x minus 1 that I can cancel. And again, remember what's being left behind on these are 1s. And then I also have an x that I can cancel. So I can cancel this x with the x right below it. Let me do it in a different color. And now I'm going to multiply what remains. Nothing else will cancel. So now I'm left with the blue x plus 2, the red x minus 2 in the numerator, all over 2 times the x plus 5. And now you're done. And that's your final answer. You don't need to FOIL it. You don't need to distribute it. Just leave it in factored form. Let's try the next one. Next one, the only thing I can factor here is nothing. Everything's factored for me already. So let me just rewrite it below because it's getting close to that other problem. So this one's already been factored for me. So now I'm just going to look for things to simplify. I can simplify the x minus 1s. I can simplify the 5 and the 25. And now what remains, and again, remember, what was left after we simplified on the numerator is a 1. And then now it's 5 times the x minus 2. And you're done. Okay, so the next one more multiplication. And again, we've got 3 things we need to factor here. So I need to factor this numerator. Nice, easy trinomial. Factors a -6, that give me -1. Now, if you want to factor it right above it, you can do that. And then maybe rewrite it. It's up to you. Just be very neat so you can you don't miss out on anything. And now I can also factor the denominator. Do this one in red. This one, a nice easy one. It's actually a perfect square trinomial. And it becomes x plus 3, x plus 3. You could write it as x plus 3 squared, but I think it's a lot easier when it comes time to canceling things if you have 2 of them, just in case you need to take one away. Now the top of this second fraction, I cannot simplify this, so it's just going to stay x plus 3. And then the denominator, this is the difference of 2 squares. So I can factor this one, and it becomes x plus 2 and x minus 2. And now I'm going to look for things to simplify. So notice you have an x plus 3 over here in purple, and it'll cancel with this one. And again, what's left behind is a 1. Then I can also simplify the x plus 2 with this one. And again, what's left behind is a 1. And now I can multiply what's left over. Nothing else simplifies. So in the numerator, I have that x minus 3. In the denominator, I've got an x plus 3 and that x minus 2. And you're done. Don't FOIL it. Leave it just like that. Now, we're going to do a division. Now, what I like to do is I like to do the keep, flip, change first so I don't forget. Because once you start getting into the factoring, you may tend to forget. So I'm going to go ahead and do my keep, flip, change first. So I'm going to go ahead and make this x to the 3rd minus 8 over x squared minus 4. I'm going to change it to multiplication, and I'm flipping my fraction upside down. Now I can start my factoring process. So this is a perfect cube. You need to remember your SOAP pattern. So this one's going to factor. Once you cube root x to the 3rd, you get x minus 2, and you cube root the 8. Then opposite sign, so you square the x with an opposite sign following. Multiply these two, so 2x, and then square the 2. So that is the x to the 3rd minus 8 factored. The denominator is the difference of 2 squares. So I can factor this into x plus 4, x minus 2, and x plus 2. And now the top is now a sum of 2 cubes. So the top over here is going to factor into x plus 2. And again, square the x, opposite sign, multiply the 2 and the x, and square the 2. And then the bottom is cannot be factored. There are no factors of 4 that will give me 2. So that one I'm going to leave alone. Can't factor this, so just rewrite it.
Why are you multiplying?
Because I'm doing division. And remember back in 4th grade when you divided fractions, You did keep, flip, change? That's what we're doing. So we're doing a keep, flip, change or a stay, change when it's division. Now that I've factored everything, now I'm going to look for things to simplify. Now remember, whenever you factor the cubes, the trinomial that results cannot be factored further. So this trinomial that's here and here, you can't factor it anymore, so don't try to break it down. However, I do have something that'll simplify here. So I can simplify two of the trinomials, this one and this one. And again, what's left behind is a 1. Then I also have an x plus 2 that I can simplify. And again, what's left behind is a 1. And then I have an x minus 2 over an x minus 2. So those will simplify as well. And again, what's left behind are 1s. And now the only thing that remains is this guy. So the final answer here is x squared minus 2x plus 4. And you're done. So just remember, those trinomials that result after you factor a cube cannot be factored. But you may have a trinomial you can simplify it with. Let's try 3 more division problems, and we're done. Again, I like to do the keep, flip, change first so I don't forget. So the first fraction, I'm keeping it the same. Or if you want to memorize it as stay, change. Keep it, change it to multiplication, flip the second fraction upside down. And now I begin my factoring process. This is the difference of 2 perfect cubes. So I can go ahead and factor it. I need to cube root the x to the third and cube root the 1. And that is going to give me x minus 1, then square the x, multiply the 1 and the x. This is the opposite sign. This is just an x plus 1. Then the denominator, difference of 2 squares. So I can factor that denominator into x minus 1 and x plus 1. The trinomial at the top. This is actually a perfect square trinomial, and it will factor into x plus 1 times x plus 1. The denominator, there are no factors of 1 that give me 1, so that one stays the same. I cannot factor this trinomial. So let me just rewrite it, x squared plus x plus 1. Now I'm looking for things to simplify. I can simplify the x minus 1s. They're on top of each other. I can also simplify diagonally here with these 2 trinomials. And what again is left behind is a 1. And then I can also simplify the x plus 1s. This one with this one. And again, what's left behind is a 1. And now the only thing that remains is the x plus 1 in that numerator. And you're done. Same thing, division, keep, change, flip it. So for number 8, keep it, change it to multiplication, flip it upside down. And now the only thing that needs to be factored is the numerator right here, difference of 2 squares. So I have x over x minus 1, and then times, and this becomes x plus 1, x minus 1. Denominators stay the same. And now I'm going to look for things to simplify. I can simplify the x minus 1s. What remains is a 1. And then I can also simplify the x's. So I can simplify, make this a 1, and then take away the power here, and it's just an x now. And now, final answer, what remains is just the x plus 1 over the x. One last example. I'm going to go ahead and do a keep flip change on it first. X squared minus 14x plus 49 over x squared minus 49. Change it to multiplication. Flip the second fraction. And now I'm going to begin my factoring process. The top here, this is actually a perfect square trinomial. So this will factor into x minus 7, x minus 7. Factors of 49 that give you negative 14 are negative 7 and negative 7. The denominator, this is the difference of two perfect squares. This one will factor into x minus 7 and x plus 7. The numerator, I cannot factor it, I'm leaving it alone. The denominator, I can pull out a greatest common factor of the 3x minus 21. That GCF will be 3, and I'm left with x minus 7. Now I'm going to go ahead and look for things to simplify. I can simplify an x minus 7 with an x minus 7, and again, what remains is a 1. I can also simplify diagonally here, this x plus 7 and this x plus 7, and a 1 remains. I can also go diagonally with the x minus 7 here, with this x minus 7, and again, what remains is a 1. And now the only thing that's left in the numerator is 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. And then in the bottom, it's 1 times 1 times 3 times 1. So the answer here is 1/3. And that is it for the notes on 5B. So basically all you're doing is factoring and then looking for things to simplify. Remember, you can simplify top to bottom or diagonally. You cannot simplify something left to right.